Chapter 1. The Cursed Coast. The year was 1805, and the Caribbean sun scorched down on the parched coast like a vengeful god. Waves crashed against the black cliffs with a growling roar, as if the sea itself were furious with the world. Jack Thorn, an 18-year-old sailor with salt in his hair and betrayed dreams in his eyes, leaned against the railing of the British ship HMS Vanguard. He had left his impoverished home in Bristol for the adventure of the open sea, but now he felt only the weight of the chains that bound him to a life of obedience and hunger. Suddenly the ship shuddered violently. A thunderous cannon salvo echoed from the horizon, and smoke rose like an evil mist. "Pirates!" the captain shouted, his voice sharp as a saber. Jack grabbed his pistol, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The Blackthorn, a ghostly hull with black sails fluttering like demons' wings, emerged from the fog. Its crew, faces painted in blood-red stripes and eyes glowing with greed, bellowed a cursed sea shanty. A grappling hook flew through the air and embedded itself in Vanguard's deck. Ropes strained, and the pirates swung aboard like spiders in a web of chaos. Jack fought bravely, but a hulking man with a scar over his eye, Captain Elias Blackthorn, seized him by the collar. "You've got fire in your eyes, lad," he growled with a grin that bared yellowed teeth. "Come with us or die here." Jack hesitated, his gaze on his dying comrades. Then, in a moment of madness, he chose freedom. With a shove, he hurled himself over the railing into the unknown, as bullets whistled past his ears. Chapter 2. The Blood Oath. Aboard the Blackthorn, the air was thick with rum, sweat, and secrets. Jack sat bound to the mast as the crew stared at him like hungry hyenas. Captain Blackthorn, a man whose body was a map of scars from battles against Spanish galleons and British frigates, held up a rusty dagger. "Out here on the sea, there are no kings, only outlaws," he said in a voice that rumbled like thunder. "Swear loyalty to the ship or bleed out on the deck." Jack swallowed hard, the taste of fear bitter on his tongue. He thought of his mother, of the letters he never sent, of the freedom that now seemed like a trap. But in the captain's eyes, he saw a glimmer of something else, a hunger for more than gold, a thirst for revenge against the empires that had crushed them all. "I swear," Jack whispered, and the dagger traced a thin line of blood across his palm. The blood dripped onto the weathered deck, and the crew cheered, their voices a cacophony of joy and madness. Night fell, and the Blackthorn sailed toward a hidden cove where a Spanish treasure chest awaited, rumored to be filled with Aztec gold stolen from Mexican temples. But tension gnawed at Jack like a serpent in his gut. He heard whispers among the crew, a spy aboard, a map leading to a cursed island. As the moon rose high, he felt a hand on his shoulder, the young cook, Leela, with eyes like the ocean's depths. "They don't trust you yet," she whispered, "but if you survive the night, maybe you will." A shot suddenly echoed in the darkness, and the ship shuddered. Was it a warning or the start of a bloodbath? Chapter 3. The Chase through the storm. The storm came like a raging devil, with winds that whipped the sails to shreds and rain that strung like 1,000 arrows. The Blackthorn plowed through the waves, pursued by a British frigate whose cannons flashed like lightning in the night. Jack clung to the wheel, hands slick with rain and fear, while Captain Blackthorn bellowed orders over the din. "Hold the course, lad, they won't take us alive." The crew fought like demons, hauling ropes and loading cannons with frenzied speed. A broadside struck the ship, and wood splintered like bones under a hammer. Jack felt the heat of a ball whistle past his cheek, leaving a burning graze. In the chaos, he saw Leela smuggling powder to the guns, her face pale but resolute. "We have to turn into the cove," she shouted, and Jack nodded, swinging the wheel with all the strength he had left. Suddenly, betrayal was revealed. The old quartermaster, with a hidden British tattoo under his scars, aimed a pistol at the captain's back. "For the crown," he hissed. Jack lunged forward, wrestling the man in a desperate struggle on the slippery deck. Knives flashed, blood mixed with rain, and with a roar, the quartermaster was stabbed down. But the frigate closed in, its shadow a harbinger of doom. The Blackthorn plunged into the cove just in time, the cliffs a labyrinth of deadly traps. Jack exhaled, but he knew the storm was only the beginning. The treasure awaited, and with it, a darker fate. Chapter 4. The Curse of the Gold. In the heart of the cove, illuminated by torches that danced like ghosts, lay the Spanish treasure chest, a relic from a lost era, carved with Aztec symbols that seemed to writhe in the glow. The crew tore open the lid with greedy hands, and gold spilled out like a river of sunlight. But with it came the screams. Invisible hands clutched at them, shadows rose from the sand, and a wind that whispered in a foreign tongue filled the air with icy chill. Jack felt the curse like a claw around his heart. Captain Blackthorn laughed maniacally, pouring gold over himself, but his eyes turned to black voids of madness. "It's ours," he roared, but an arrow, ancient and rotten, buried itself in his chest. The frigate broke through the cliffs, its cannons thundering once more, and the battle erupted in an inferno of fire and steel. Jack and Leela fought side by side, sword against saber, as pirates fell like leaves in a gale. In the climax of chaos, Jack seized the map, the true one, showing the way from the curse. "Run," he shouted to Leela, and they swam through bloody water toward a hidden cave. Behind them, the Blackthorn sank, the captain drowning in his own gold, the frigate crushed against the rocks. As dawn broke, Jack breathed the air of true freedom for the first time, but the gold, they left it behind, for they knew now. The greatest treasure was life itself, bought with blood and storms. Epilogue. Many years after the storm, as 1820 drew to a close, Jack Thorn sat in a small hut by a quiet bay, with Leela by his side and children playing in the sand. The ship Blackthorn was a memory, its wreck a home for fish, and the gold a tale that frightened and enticed. Jack wore his scars like medals, each line a story of battles, betrayals, and victories. He looked out over the sea, which now seemed peaceful, but knew its call never silenced. "We won our freedom," he whispered to Leela, "but it demands vigilance." And so the waves continued to crash, carrying the legacy of pirates to new generations.